And this is basically a brainwashing trip. I mean, I think the Israeli government paid for this, and we had donors too, but I think they were mostly Israelis that assume that we're going to listen to all this shit we get fed. And that is having the reverse effect on me. I'm becoming anti-Semitic, like at the Holocaust Museum, or as I call it, the Holocaust Museum. No, just kidding. Yeah, like at one point the tour guide goes, and there are people who think that this didn't happen. And I felt myself defending the super far-right Nazis just because I was sick of being so much brainwashing. And I felt like going, well, they never said it didn't happen. What they're saying is that it was much less than 6 million and that they starved to death and they weren't gassed, that they didn't have supplies and they were starved to death. And they were horrible and there was mass graves and all the pictures are real and everything. But it wasn't gassing. I'm not saying it wasn't gassing. Please don't take that clip out of context. But that's what the far-right nuts are saying. God damn it, they showed this footage, too, of these dead bodies getting bulldozed. I mean, the most graphic footage you've ever seen. Children, naked women, emaciated, being thrown in big piles. Blah. But there's been a lot of genocides. Mao killed 70 million. The guy, I read about this guy that the Tsarnaev brothers are named after that killed 5%. He's a Muslim. He killed something like 5% of the Muslim population. Tsarnaev. Anyway, Stalin, with the Bolsheviks killed 30 million. But the Russians don't talk about that. They don't even necessarily see it as a horrible thing. Holodomor was Ukrainians. I think it was 10 million Ukrainians that were killed. That was by Jews. That was by Marxist, Stalinist, left-wing, commie, socialist Jews. You see what this fucking place is doing to me? Even with the Nazis, I was like, well, wasn't the Treaty of Versailles, wasn't that disproportionately influenced by Jewish intellectuals? And the Treaty of Versailles was the deal Germany got after World War I. It sucked, and Germans hated it, and they were basically told that they had to give all their money back to the Allies and, to pay this undue penance for World War I. And that sort of you suck, and also having to give away all your money to taxes makes white people mad. And when they said that Jews are the ones who came up with this stupid plan, they said, well, then I hate Jews. And then you had the Nazi Party, and then you had World War II, and then you had 6 million Jews. Then you have the Holocaust Museum, and then you have this guy who won't stop. God, they're so obsessed with the Holocaust. And yes, I know it was bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pro-Holocaust. That'd be funny in your Twitter bio if it just says pro-Holocaust. But it's a strange thing. It's like a liberal thing. It's arguably a white thing, but it's a Jewish thing to sort of dwell on the past. And this whole nation state, they talk about 75 years ago, my people were killed. Always the Jews, always killing us. We are always the scapegoats. I was sort of getting Russian there. And then you look at other countries like Pol Pot in Cambodia and the massacres all over Polynesia. They talk about it like, yeah, that was some crazy times. North Koreans, they like Kim Jong-un. And I don't know if it's healthy to dwell. I mean, the Scots are guilty of it too. They were under siege from the English for 700, 800 years. And I guess they sing about it a lot and they hate the English for it. So yeah, it's an annoying trait that Scotland also has. But I think, I'm in the museum and he says, the Jewish peoples, they killed 6 million of us, and who came to save us? And I'm like, me. You're welcome. He's like, no. Churchill, they knew of these massacres. They knew this was going on. I don't think they did. Because I remember talking to G. Vaucher, the artist from Crass. And she goes, she was born in 1946 or something. And she goes, as a kid growing up, it was a strange time in Britain because there was this jubilation, and the Jubilee, the Queen's Jubilee, was a massive thing in the 50s. It started becoming bigger and bigger, 60s, 70s too, because Brits were so happy that the war was over. So there's this intense celebration going on in Britain. But she said, and at the same time, we're seeing this evidence, these photos of what happened in Auschwitz. And there's this intense sort of sense of pall, this sense of doom and disgust and horror and shock over what had been going on. And she wasn't talking about the Vaucher family. She was talking about Britain in general. Didn't realize that the gassing was going on. And then in the same tour, by the way, we see the American soldiers seeing these gassed, starving, not gassed, these starving people because they found some POW camps that the Jews were still alive. The Germans had just left and they were still alive. And it shows the Americans just shocked and horrified by what they were seeing. So then he goes, well, no, the soldiers didn't know, but the authorities, they knew. And why didn't they bomb Auschwitz then? They bombed a place north of Auschwitz. They bombed a industrial base where they were manufacturing, but they did not destroy Auschwitz. And I'm thinking, well, first of all, didn't they think it was just a POW camp? And secondly, it's the war's over. Wait a minute, can you bomb a POW camp? You just can't just bomb a POW camp. I'm talking to this guy who's filming this, Oliver, but he's got his headphones on and he's doing something else entirely. So yeah, I just thought, how about at the Holocaust Museum, a thank you to Britain and we're in Israel. Hey, Britain, thanks for creating Israel. Thanks for drawing up them borders that were pretty generous, by the way. In fact, it shrunk down, and then there was massive wars that built it back up to the borders they got in 48. So I think that was kind of nice.